Join me as I dive deep into the world of CGC stock and try to figure out if it's really about to explode. CGC stock, or Canopy Growth Corporation, is one of the biggest players in the cannabis market. With a strong brand and a solid presence in Canada and beyond, it's definitely a company to keep an eye on. If you're into investing or just following the cannabis industry, you should care about CGC's potential movements because they could impact your portfolio or simply because it's an interesting space to watch. The cannabis sector has been facing some tough times lately, and CGC stock is no exception. Market conditions have been challenging, with fluctuating demand and prices that just can't seem to stabilize. Regulatory hurdles are also a big concern. The laws around cannabis are still evolving, and that can create uncertainty for investors. And let's not forget the competition. The cannabis industry is getting more crowded by the day, with new players entering the market and vying for market share. Another challenge CGC faces is the issue of profitability. Despite being one of the leaders in the space, the company has struggled to turn a profit in recent years. That's a big deal for investors, who are looking for returns on their investments. So, until CGC can show some consistent profitability, it might be tough for the stock to gain real traction. The global economic landscape also plays a role in CGC's performance. With inflation on the rise and interest rates going up, investors are getting a little more cautious. That's not specific to CGC, of course, it's a broader market trend. But for a company that's still trying to find its footing in a volatile industry, these macroeconomic factors can be particularly tough to navigate. Earnings reports are a huge deal for any stock, and CGC is no exception. If the company can show some strong numbers, that could definitely boost investor confidence. And it's not just about the earnings themselves, it's about the narrative around them. How does management frame the company's progress? What are their plans for growth? That kind of guidance can really move the needle for a stock like CGC. Industry trends are also worth keeping an eye on. The cannabis industry is evolving rapidly, with new products and technologies emerging all the time. If CGC can stay ahead of the curve and capitalize on these trends, that could be a real game changer. From CBD and THC products to innovative growing techniques, there are plenty of opportunities for CGC to lead the way. Investment sentiment is another key factor. If investors start to feel bullish about CGC again, that could create a kind of self-reinforcing cycle. More buyers could jump into the stock, driving up the price and making it even more attractive to new investors. Of course, the opposite is also true. If sentiment turns sour, it could be tough for CGC to recover. Recently, there have been some developments that could act as a catalyst for CGC stock. The company has made some significant announcements about new product launches and partnerships, which could help drive growth. For example, their new line of cannabis-infused beverages is getting a lot of attention, and their partnership with a major beer company could open up new distribution channels. These kinds of moves are exactly what investors want to see, concrete steps towards growth and profitability. And if CGC can execute on these plans, it could be a real turning point for the stock. Another interesting development is the increasing institutional interest in CGC. More and more big investors are starting to take a closer look at the company, which could help drive up the stock price. Of course, that's not a guarantee, but it's definitely a trend worth watching. In terms of impactful insights, it's worth noting that CGC has a strong brand and a solid foundation in the cannabis industry. If the company can navigate the challenges and capitalize on the opportunities, there's definitely potential for growth. So, what's the takeaway on CGC stock? The potential for growth is definitely there, but it's not without its challenges. From market conditions to regulatory hurdles, there are plenty of factors that could impact the stock's price. If you're watching CGC stock and wondering if it's about to explode, the answer is, it's possible. But it's also important to do your own research and consider your own investment goals. What do you think about CGC stock? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're looking for more investment insights and analysis, be sure to check out my other videos.